Am I looking at you or her?
Either one.
Probably him.
Go ahead.
Okay, what was a typical weekend like in the
Typical-
60s?
Okay, typical weekend in E-Town in the 60s. Well, if you were in high school, when I was in high school, we could go to the MRC building, and that was a building that's downtown, across from where the police station is now, and it was just for teenagers, mostly the city kids. Well, it was E-Town Catholic, then E-Town High, and you could go there on Saturday nights and Wednesday nights and just have fun. And then riding back from the Dairy Queen, which was out where French's Cleaners is now, to out by the city cemetery to Burger King, and you just, back and forth. Of course, gas was only 33 cents a gallon, so we could do that all afternoon. And you just meet and greet and holler, hey, it's fun.
What were some of the trends that teens followed?
Some of the team, well, if you were going steady with the guy, because see, we didn't have all this group date and stuff like you all do. We had steady guys. And you wore their class rings and you put this yarn on it, Angora yarn, and you brushed it out so everybody could be sure to see it. That was one of the trends. Listening to the Beatles. The Beatles came in when I was a freshman in high school. And in fact, when they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, when I watched them, I was with Ms. Brooding's father. She knows this.
What was the purpose of rebelling?
Well, the 50s, see, the 50s were so staid and conservative because they were a result of a reaction to the wartime. And so then the 50s, conservatism and follow the rules and do what you're told. And I have an older sister who is so different from myself. And she is a rule follower, and then here came the 60s, and that was me. And the rules were, well, if it's there, break it. For some of us, but I was one of those that broke them. Everybody wasn't that way. Oh, let me tell you one thing about Mr. Galvin, because I think you're going to interview him too. He lived over on Morningside, right there in the corner. And he went to church at Severance Valley, went to school at E-Town. He said, hey, Joe, my whole life was on one street. It was.
And then with school, how is it different now from it was then?
Well, one thing is when we registered for classes, we didn't have anything like Power Pack. We knew what teachers were there and what classes were there, and they would put them, I think I'm remembering this correctly, in the gym, and we would just go up to them and we'd sign for our classes. Of course, we only had to have 18 credits, and that doesn't sound like a lot for you all because you have to have more, but some of us who were not into academics, it took us a while to get them.
How were people's goals the same or different?
Well, there were some that had goals for college. But for girls, you could either be a beautician, a nurse, or a teacher. And there was not, and this is back to the school thing, there was not the emphasis put on school about what you were going to do when you got out. And I think one reason was because, we had Vietnam, a lot of our guys were going to be drafted, and then we had the bomb, scare the bomb. We used to have bomb drills at school. And so there was this sense of eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow you may die. And the music really reflects it. Really reflects it.
What were the most ridiculous fashion choices?
Well, it's kind of funny that you asked me that because in my yearbook when I was a sophomore, I was in a page about doing different fashion things. And I guess the stupidest thing that I ever did was, well, I dyed my hair sable brown, which is sable brown is black. I'm not a blackhead. That didn't come out right, did it? But I laid my hair down on the ironing board, put wax paper on it, and ironed it. And then sometimes you get a little poof back here, you wore orange juice cans. And then we had these wire rollers that hurt your head like you know what. But you slept them because you want that look. Oh, then we had these little flip under here because it was Jackie Kennedy's time. That was a big influence on us.
What do you miss the most about the 60s?
Being young,
Is that all?
pretty much. And not much responsibility. We weren't taught to be responsible as much as you all are. And I had absolutely no sense of direction about not throwing trash out. We just threw it out. Of course, there were a lot of smokers in my class too. We even smoked at school, or those who smoked did.
Do you wish you could change anything about the 60s?
Yeah, Vietnam.
And then last, what were your favorite foods?
McDonald's French fries, because we didn't have a McDonald's in E-Town. And we would drive to Louisville just to get those French fries. See, there weren't all these restaurants here like y'all have now. And also, everything we needed was around the square downtown. Everything.